Hi, I'm Greg Curtis. I'm the owner of The Bridge Recording. This is a studio in Glendale, California, where we do mainly TV, film, and music for picture. It's a large room that can accommodate up to about 60 players. We have a very large control room, a Neve analog scoring console, and about 120 microphones.
Hi, my name's Alan Chan. I'm a composer, conductor of both classical and jazz genres. Today we're talking about our project, Alan Chan Jazz Orchestra recording project, and it's really nice pleasure to work with Greg and record this album at the Bridge Recording.
We bought this building in 2006. We built it because there was a great need for a facility like this in LA, and we came about that after me having worked in many places around town as a film scoring engineer. At that time, there was a great need for a place like this, a room with this acoustic and a room with this technical aptitude. So we designed and built this small scoring stage. The cool thing about it is not only is it a scoring stage, it's a great music room. And here's a place where you can be playing in an ensemble and actually feel like you're performing. Up to now, we've done 30 feature films, 25 TV series, and we're booked solid. So it worked.
I am a classical composer originally, but I've always been interested and intrigued by jazz big band. And very fortunately, I was able to study with really fine teachers, both at the University of Southern California and University of Miami. And I got the chops. And 8 years ago, I started to write. And so this accumulating about 6 or 7 years of work, I decided maybe it's time to put together a big band. So 3 years ago, we got a grant from American Composers Forum to put together a concert in LA. And so we have so far been doing 5 concerts in LA area. And at a certain point, we decided, well, let's do a recording of this album, and just summarizing all the music that I've been written in the last 8 years. My music actually spans many different genres, also kind of a genre hybrid kind of thing. My vision is mainly is really in a more of a symphonic standpoint, which is very I attained. Spent a lot of time detailing the orchestrations and how instruments come together. So I want that to be able to perceive in the recording. So I want something that is well defined. I can hear different timbre, and also when it comes together in a massive force, we can still get this unifying sound as well. So being here at the Bridge Recording gives us an opportunity to actually set up in a way that we will take advantage of the acoustic space, but as well as close individual mics, so that we can do a lot of work while when we start the mixing process of the recording. So Rancho Calaveras is for a 17-piece jazz big band, and I wrote this in 2012. The concept came from actually a friend who lives on Calaveras Street near Pasadena, California. And he has these really beautiful gardens with fruits and vegetables grown. And it was very inspiring for me because I came from a city. I grew up in Hong Kong. And so I wanted to write a piece about that. And my friend also likes country western music, and so I try to see if I can merge this jazz big band style to country western style together somehow. All the saxophones, they double with woodwinds, so you hear flutes, piccolo, and as well as all the saxes. Trumpets, pretty much I use all mutes, all kinds of mutes possible, so harmon mutes, cup mutes, etc. And we have an interesting thing. It's the banjo that we use. Andrew Zinowick actually plays guitar, but for this particular piece, he brings a banjo, and that really gives us the character of this country style.
After meeting with Alan and speaking with a few of his musician friends, who are also friends of mine, and listening to some recordings that he already had, it was apparent that this was going to be a substantial project in terms of acoustics, and one that I really needed to bring into a symphonic light, but keep it as a straightforward big band after all. So it was cool in that I got to set it up how I wanted to, and it was a wonderful sonic experience in that I was able to explore a palette of microphones and room acoustics to come to what I think is a real symphonic jazz orchestra recording. We went through songs very quickly. We recorded how many songs over 2 days?
9.
9 songs over 2 days, a total of maybe 10 hours of recording. So things moved along, and solos were done live. So I had to take that into account. So I had the trumpets on a riser behind the trombones, the saxophones on a wing, forming a V with the two groups, the R88 sitting right there in the middle, one ribbon pointing at the saxes, one at the trombones and trumpets, and 2 outrigger omnis out in the room, a little farther. The drums are in a booth, typical drum setup. Piano with a couple of CK12 microphones on it. The bass had an R44 and a U47, as well as a DI. And there was a toy piano as well. And there were also some other fun instruments, but we used room mics and spot mics for all these auxiliary percussion instruments that the band used. And there are also some vocal sections that the band got to do. The trumpets used 2 KU4s and 2 vintage KU3As that I have. We used the RPQ preamps and the TRP preamps on those. The R88 in the room used the RPQ as well. Sax is a mixture of Sheps and some Neumanns. Bones use M49s and 47s. We also had flutes, and on those I use Sheps as well. I chose the preamps based on the microphone I wanted to use. For me, the microphone is the primary source. The preamp serves in a supporting role. So we need to have a gain structure that works with these microphones. And with ribbon mics, I always go with the AEA preamps, TRP, or RPQs. They're just simple, they have lots of gain, and the impedance is correct for these microphones. And it brings out a beautiful sonic character that a modern, either chip or even a tube-based preamp just doesn't pull from the microphone. For the small diaphragms, I use Millennias, I use Neves, vintage Neve Airs, 1081s, some Millennia HV3Ds, and some UA 8110s for the drums. Oh, and on the bass, I use the vintage UA 610 tube. So that was how we set the room up and the microphones and what we used to do that. Why don't we take a listen to it, Alan?
Sure.
All right.
Sounds good.
Here we go with everybody.
Sure.
It's an ode to the American West. Okay, here's just the rooms. And now let's listen to the wide rooms. And now let's hear the R88, which is a closer mic. It's a tighter feel, but there's still a huge width and depth to this microphone. And here we go. Just really cool. So here's a section we can focus on the bass and the piano.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to kill the piano. I'm killing the 47. This is just the 44. Now you can hear lots of piano in here. Not a lot, but there's still some. And that's a little bit of bleed. But bleed isn't necessarily a bad thing, because the way they integrate with each other is fantastic. They support each other. This is just the 47. And here's the 44. Now, it's nice in that I can boil this about 30 input mix down to 6 microphones if I want. The R88, mono ribbon drum mic, a piano mic, and a guitar mic, and a bass mic. Or you can bring up all 30 channels, just flatline it, and it's a great detailed mix. So it was a nice experience to take elements from symphonic realm and bring them into a jazz realm. There's always a tension of the moment where you put all the faders up, you hit record, and the first phrase comes through your speakers. And you've got 30 channels to deal with, and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, you do, but you never know what it's going to sound like exactly. And all the tension relieved was out of my body because I heard just an amazing sound. And I was like, this is going to be a great session. The next 2 days are going to be very fun. And it was so great. So thank you, AEA, for making that happen. The room mic captured everything I wanted. The bass mic was phenomenal. And the trumpet mics killed. I like to use a combination of mics in different sections. I love the K4s and trumpets. Amazing. They capture a three-dimensional view of that instrument without killing us as listeners. So having ribbons, condensers, small, large diaphragm, and a variety of room mics really gives us a lot of choices. Or we can go old school and just hit 6 inputs, and there we are, live.
Greg and I was discussing this during the process. I was a little concerned about, because I have all these extra instruments. I have this animal noise maker, and then I have toy hammers, and then toy pianos, and the band shouted at one point they were making animal noises, and I think the setup, really it's very critical to this recording project. And I'm very glad when I listened to the final product, I was really impressed by how much this setup can do. Not only just that individual solos and individual mics can be heard very clearly, but just general orchestration. I can hear how that my vision of this particular chord or particular melody is being presented in a way that I was actually surprised how great it is. And also in the room mic situation where you have all these ad hoc or shouting, it comes through really, really well with the room mics. The closed room mic that we use, particularly in AEA.
Yeah, it's not often where you get to explore a setup where you feel you don't really have to compromise on anything, and having the technological ability to record this way and the incredible players and composer is a moment in time that just is extremely satisfying.
I really like the warmth of it, although Rancho Calaveras is more of a country western style and it's supposed to be rough and all that. I like the idea for this particular recording that we can bring out all the orchestration of this piece. Both, of course, everyone when they play at once, but also a melody. Because the melody is very complex. I forgot how many notes there are, but it's a very jazzy kind of approach to the melodic writing. And every single note has its own color. And I think, I was listening to, the lead trumpets, and I really hear that, wow, every single note, individual note, their color is coming out from what I've heard after the session. So I'm very pleased to hear that happening in the recording. So.